Hello, in this video you're going to learn how to use selective sharpening. In other words, you're not just going to choose sharpening to sharpen the whole picture. You're going to decide the elements that you want to preserve as sharp, and if elements need to be kept out of focus, you have the ability to keep those out of focus as well. The first thing we're going to do, as always, is we're going to just make our photograph a little smaller on the screen, introduce our layers so we can see what's going on in our layers. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a layer, and we're going to call that layer Selective Sharpening. So as we've done before, we're going to click on the background layer and bring it down to the plus, and we have created a new layer. And we're going to call this layer, by double clicking on it, we're going to call this layer Selective Sharpening. So that's our selective sharpening layer. And on this layer, we're going to call this layer master. Going to click OK, which remember takes our lock off. Okay. We're never going to make any changes to our master, so make sure you're on your selective layer, and you'll see that by the darker area on the layer mask. Next thing we want to do is we want to go to our filter. And in our filter, we're going to select Other, and we're going to select High Pass. In this case, I have chose 5 pixels. And I'm going to say OK. The blend mode is currently at normal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that to soft light. And as you can see, what's actually happened, and I'll just use the plus sign so we can see by turning it off and turning it on, it sharpened everything. What we want to be is in control of how much sharpening is actually applied. To do that, we're going to create a mask. And if we go down to our Option key, press our Option key, and at the same time we click our mask, we hide the sharpening effect at the moment. Again, make sure that these little boxes are white and black, and not the other way around, else this mask won't work properly. Next thing we want to do is we want to select a brush. Again, we've got our brush. And you remember in our last videos, we talked in terms of a percentage application, and the percentage application was 30%. So what we're going to do is we're going to brush in the 30%. But first of all, we're going to decide the areas where we want to emphasize sharpening. And I believe in this instance, it would be the rocks, it would be the derelict trees, and the bridge. Can't see any mileage in sharpening up anything else because I want to draw the viewer to these elements and not distract them off to other elements. So what we're going to do is we're going to effectively just increase the size of the brush, because in doing so we can brush the larger areas quite quickly. And as you can see, we're going to get a bit of sharpening there. I'm just going to move out along those rocks, up here, and along these trees. Now I'm going to get a little bit finer by reducing the size using the left square bracket key, which will allow me to get in this area a wee bit more precisely. As we move the image, we're now going to have a look at the bridge. Again, we can reduce the size of our brush and brush in the bridge. Remember what we're doing. We're brushing this in at 30%. And therefore, I set this to 5 pixels. So at 30%, we're just brushing in roughly about 1.5 pixels each time we go over until we will have reached a maximum. Over here you can see in the mask how the lighter it becomes is you reaching the full extent of the pixel content, and the shallower it becomes is the lesser amount of pixel sharpening that has taken place. And if we switch it on and switch it off, you can see it's subtle but effective. If we had pushed it in at its 30%, it would have been indeed over the top. And we don't want to overcook it. We just want to make everything look natural. So we're just going to bring this all down now into the screen. And effectively, we have sharpened the image. Again, like everything, in order to make this permanent, we've got to apply a flatten layer. So if we flatten the layer, we have made our sharpening permanent.